Hey folks, welcome to my 8.25 Fire Mage guide. Today we're going to be walking through a bunch of different abilities. First off, we're going to start around recommended talents. If you're absolutely new to Fire Mage, they're a ton of fun. This is going to get a little deep in terms of ideal rating and Mythic Plus builds. So for rating, you want to go with Searing Touch, Shimmer, Rune of Power, Flame Orb, Frantic Speed, Conflagration, and then it really comes down to Meteor, Pyroclasm, or Kindling. And we'll talk about each. It's actually going to be tied pretty intimately to what kind of Azerite traits you're rolling with. From a Mythic build standpoint, a lot of the early levels are really same as far as the talent builds go. Searing Touch, Shimmer, Rune of Power, Flame On, Frantic Speed. At level 90, it's a little bit of a switch. Conflag is no longer the choice. You're going to jump between Flame Patch. If you're new to Fire, I'd recommend this as it is a little bit more of a passive ability. Alternatively, Living Bomb is alright. One of the key things you need to learn to understand with Living Bomb is how close do you actually intend to be to your targets one to the other. You don't want to set off Living Bomb and it pull a different pack, and you don't want to set Living Bomb on a certain mob member and it not impact the rest of the pack you're aiming for. So Living Bomb a little bit more advanced. Alternatively, you get down again for this Mythic Plus build, and Kindling, Pyroclasm, or Meteor all work. It depends on really what your Azerite traits are, and we'll review that in a moment. So if you're completely new, some of the best Fire Mage spec-specific Azerite traits are Wildfire, Firemind, Blaster Master, Duplicative Incineration, Trailing Embers, and Flames of Alacrity. Really what you want to do is if you can get 2 or more wildfire traits, it makes Pyroclasm better than Meteor. So that'll drive what your level 100 talent build is. But make sure you take some time and find out how to sim. It's key when you're choosing any kind of gear or Azerite trait combination. So as far as Azerite traits, what you're trying to go for from a rating standpoint, again, load up on Wildfire, get 2 of those. It really just increases the damage done by Pyroblast, and it grants you a little bit of extra critical strike when you activate Combustion, and actually gives your allies nearby, up to 4 of them, a smaller critical strike buff as well. After that, Treacherous Covenant is fantastic. It just increases our intellect when you're above 50% health, and hopefully in a raid, that's the majority of the time. In Blightborn Infusion, your spells have a chance to increase your critical strike rating. As far as slightly more average rating traits, Firemind really allows you to, when you consume Hot Streak, it increases your intellect by 12 seconds, and it stacks up to 3 times. Blaster Master increases your mastery rating, and that stacks up to 3 times. And Duplicative Incineration Fireball deals increased damage and has a 5% chance to launch a second Fireball. So drop it down in the comments, folks. What did you like about those talent builds? What didn't work for you? For me, I like this as far as a raid build goes, and that's pretty much the only way I roll with my mage these days. Again, Undulating Tides, Blaster Master, Blightborn Infusion. Take some time to get familiar with Blood Mallet. That's one of the best ways you can sim what your Azerite trait should be. Overwhelming Power, again, is probably the best tier 2 Azerite trait, so take some time to get exposed to them. Looking at the high-end Azerite essences for your neck, Memory of Lucid Dreams is far and away, like almost 25% better than the second best trait, Condensed Life Force. Memory of Lucid Dreams, if you're not familiar with it, you got to go and pick that up over in Nazjatar. So take some time, get familiar with basically the friends in Mesomir or New Home. That's going to be key. Advance that storyline and your reputation there. Condensed Life Force, you're only going to get that from the Eternal Palace raid. So even if you don't love end content rating, spend a little bit of time on LFR. Get the Condensed Light Force raid. It's fantastic. The next really beneficial trait is Memory of Lucid Dreams. If you have it in a minor capacity, that's how OP Memory of Lucid Dreams is for Fire Mages. And then third following that is Crucible of Flame, so go pick that up if you haven't before. The real sexy trinket for us is a Shira's Font of Power. So take some time, pick that up. It gives you a straight boost to your critical strike, and it actually allows you to channel some latent magic for up to 4 seconds. That increases your primary stat by like over 2,000. So for us, that's a major, major deal as you're looking at the high-end item level for that trinket. As far as the guide itself goes, at the most basic level, you want to stack haste, versatility, crit, mastery, and intellect. But that's really just call it a rule of thumb. Take some time again, figure out how to calculate or simulate what your different stat priorities should be along with your builds. Haste is good because it decreases your cast time. It also influences the cooldown on Fire Blast and time it takes for Living Bomb to explode. So it's pretty attractive there. Mastery, while not super exciting, does increase the damage of your Ignite dots. If you're looking to min-max and you're on the Horde side, you want to roll a Troll. If you're min-max on the opposite side, you can go with a Dwarf. I like Caster Dwarfs. They're pretty visually appealing, if nothing else. Alternatively, if you're going for a Mythic Plus build, Blood Elves have a pretty fantastic look to them. Just look at that sharp-looking, maybe metrosexual elf. Alternatively, Night Elves can go with a Shadow Meld if you like to play a little bit more of a defensive side. Consumables, you really just want to pick up anything you can get your hands on that's going to boost your ink, like the Battle Potion of Intellect. And food, you really want to stack anything that's going to get your primary stat up, or alternatively, just load up on Borealis Blood Sausage independently, and that'll get your stat to where it needs to be. Now for playstyle and rotation, you really want to cast Fireball until you crit and gain a heating up proc. So we'll play with this right here. Fireball, Fireball. Now once you get the heating up proc, which will be any second now, you want to go cast that Fireball, you get your hot streak, use Fire Blast. Once you get your hot streak, use Pyroblast after that. You really want to repeat that and use your other abilities such as Meteor and Pyroclast as they proc. It's really important, and you really should always cast Fireball and convert heating up into a hot streak every opportunity you get. The reason we can cast Fireball, Fire Blast, Pyroblast almost all at the same time is that there's a short grace window. If you get familiar with the abilities, and that window really allows basically if one spell crits but the other doesn't, you can keep your heating up proc going and you'll gain that you've gained from the previous crit. So that's super valuable. The real rules for fire, and I'll have to take a breath, you want to use your Rune of Power if your combustion is off cooldown. You only want to use Meteor during Rune of Power. So that's a little bit of a different build. Boom, Rune of Power. Drop it. Drop that Meteor. Use Combustion when it's off cooldown. Use Rune of Power if you're about to overcap it. If you have Pyroclasm, use it within Combustion and Rune of Power if it's possible. But if not, use it outside before it times out. Use Pyroblast when you have a hot streak proc. Dragon's Breath if Combustion is active, but you've got less than a second remaining and you're in range to hit. So don't go run around to fire Dragon's Breath. Use Fire Blast when you have heating up again. Use Scorch below 30% if you've got Searing Touch talented, which should be the base build. Fireball to proc heating up, and Scorch if you have to move and don't have any instant casts left to spare. Always remember that Scorch is there for us to maintain a little bit of mobility. Flame Strike should be used on 2 or more targets if Flame Patch is talented, and the mobs will stay in that for the entire duration. So Combustion priority, if I haven't said it clearly, drop your Meteor, then go Pyroblast if Pyroclasm is talented, Pyroblast with Hot Streak, Pyroblast with Heating Up, Phoenix Flames if it's talented with Heating Up, and Scorch. So your Combustion will look like, again, your Rune of Power, followed by a Meteor, followed by Combustion, a pyroblast, a fire blast, a pyroblast, a fire blast, a pyroblast, a fire blast, a scorch, a pyroblast, a scorch, and a pyroblast. And really, you can even replace your scorches if you've talented Phoenix Flames. Now, I like Flame On more than Phoenix Flames. I think that's a better way to go. But you really want to cast as many pyroblasts as possible in your combustion window. Take advantage of that. So again, for your opener, precast pyroblast, rune of power, fire blast if your pyroblast clicks, and then combustion. Enter that combustion rotation. So if you ever play Firestarter, you want to cast Fireball into Pyroblast until 90%, and then after 90%, you want to enter Combustion. So a little complicated there. There's a lot of, we'll call it, elements that you can advance. Fire, once you get a feel for it, those is a lot of fun. All right, folks, if you made it this far, tell me what you like. Tell me what I can do better. I appreciate you all taking the time to check out this video, and I'll see you soon. Later.